So friends, the good news about the gag order that Special Counsel Jack Smith is seeking against Donald Trump, it does not prevent Trump from continuing to confess to his crimes. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, you may have seen the interview of Donald Trump on Meet the Press. There's certainly been a lot of talk about it. Let's take on some of the implications of that interview. Let's take on some of what came out of Donald Trump's mouth. But first, if you'll indulge me, just 30 seconds of housekeeping. As you may know, we're an all-volunteer outfit here at Justice Matters. We're up and running 7 days a week, and we couldn't do it without your support. So if you're interested in more formally supporting our all-volunteer efforts, our mission, our content, please feel free to come on over to patreon.com. You can sign up to become a patron, and if you do, I'll send you some Team Justice and Justice Matters stickers and a personal handwritten note of thanks. And thank you to the many of you who have come over to patreon.com and are supporting our efforts. Now, in the Meet the Press interview, Donald Trump lied and lied and lied. He steamrolled his way through the interview. And then many of the news outlets were left to do fact-checking stories after the fact. Call Donald Trump out on his lies. Here are just a few of the examples of that from NBC itself. Fact-checking Trump's Meet the Press interview. Trump used the word rigged more than a dozen times. In fact, I saw one news outlet report he used the word rigged 19 times in connection with the 2020 election. CNN fact-check 14 of Trump's false claims on Meet the Press. Rolling Stone, bacon prices and ballot stuffing. Trump's biggest lies on Meet the Press. You know, friends, I question the wisdom of platforming Donald Trump's lies. Think about this. How many people watch the interview or some portions of the interview versus how many people go and read the fact-checking stories afterwards to see how many lies Donald Trump told and on what topics? But, you know, there are some good things that come from letting Donald Trump continue to run his mouth on TV. This from Newsweek, headline, Donald Trump just destroyed his own defense. And that article begins, former President Donald Trump may have destroyed his own defense against criminal charges related to his alleged efforts to overturn his loss in the 2020 election, legal experts have suggested. Trump, the current frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, was indicted on felony charges in early August for allegedly working to subvert the election results in the run-up to the January 6, 2021 riot by his supporters at the U.S. Capitol. Special Counsel Jack Smith said in the indictment that Trump knew his claims of having won the election were false, but he repeated and widely disseminated them anyway to make his knowingly false claims appear legitimate, to create an intense national atmosphere of mistrust and anger, and to erode public faith in the administration of the election. Trump also faces dozens of criminal charges across 3 other indictments, one of them involving his alleged attempts to overturn his 2020 loss in Georgia. He has denied wrongdoing in all of the cases. And then, friends, here's the part where Donald Trump all but destroyed another possible defense he might have offered at trial. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, Trump said it was his decision that the election was rigged against him, adding that he relied on his own instincts to reach that conclusion. Those comments could undermine a possible defense that he relied on the advice of his lawyers in continuing to challenge his defeat. Okay, friends, there's a lot to unpack there, but let's take on the last point first. Donald Trump blowing up the advice of counsel defense in his Meet the Press interview. Think about it in connection with filing your tax returns. Let's assume you're filling out your tax returns and some tax attorney or some tax preparer tells you, oh, you're authorized to take a particular deduction. So you take that deduction on your taxes and you file them with the IRS, and then the IRS comes a-calling and they say, you were not authorized to take that deduction. What do you say? I did it on the advice of counsel, on the advice of a tax preparer. Advice of counsel is a legitimate, viable defense in the criminal law to certain crimes, not all crimes. So Donald Trump, in the interview, could have said, oh, I was relying on advice of counsel when, I concluded the election was rigged and this fake elector thing was really on the up and up, and I really could tell Mike Pence that he could just reject the electoral vote count and install me as president. Advice of counsel. What did he say in the interview? I was going on my own instincts. Well, guess what? There is no advice of my own instincts defense. So yes, Donald Trump blew up yet another potential defense, and inferentially he confessed yet again, which he has done over and over again in his interviews, in his hate rally speeches, in his posts. He is forever confessing and damaging his ability to defend against the criminal charges in the future. So part of me says, you know what? Let Donald Trump keep lying on air. Keep interviewing him. Keep giving him the opportunity to confess, to incriminate himself. But a larger part of me says, stop him from lying. Gag him using the legal system. Stop him from saying things that are endangering witnesses, prosecutors, judges, juries. Stop him from saying things that are poisoning all future jury pools. So friends, here's the bottom line for me. We have enough incriminating evidence. We have enough confessions out of Donald Trump's mouth that even a novice prosecutor would be able to walk into a courtroom and convict Donald Trump in his or her sleep. Let's use a concrete example from a recent criminal trial, the trial of Peter Navarro. Remember this clown? This is the guy who kept going on TV and giving interviews talking about how, the whole fake elector scheme, he called it the Green Bay sweep. The Green Bay sweep. We're going to use the Green Bay sweep, as if giving a coup attempt a cute nickname somehow made it not criminal. And Peter Navarro was forever trying to convince people that what he and his co-conspirators, his criminal associates did was on the up and up, wasn't criminal, completely authorized by the Constitution. It's the Green Bay sweep. What could possibly be wrong with the Green Bay sweep? So what happened when Peter Navarro went to trial recently? Well, you remember the reporting? This from the Daily Beast. Headline, jurors convict Trump loyalist Peter Navarro after just 4 hours. And that article reads in part, a federal jury on Thursday dropped the axe on Peter Navarro, finding the ex-Donald Trump advisor and MAGA loyalist guilty of a pair of contempt of Congress charges after just 4 hours of deliberations. He's now facing a sentence of up to 2 years behind bars. Navarro, who gained notoriety for the extreme efforts he made to try to overturn the 2020 election, was busted for ignoring a subpoena to hand over documents and testify before the House's January 6th committee. So friends, there's a concrete example of how a guy, Peter Navarro, went out, ran his mouth, all day, every day, trying to deceive people into believing that what he and his criminal associates had done was all on the up and up, perfectly legal, perfectly constitutional. But once that case was in trial proper, all of that nonsense melted away, and Peter Navarro had no defense to his crimes, no admissible evidence, of the Green Bay sweep being constitutional or anything else he did being lawful, being authorized. It was all criminal. And a 4-hour verdict, friends, can I tell you, that is an extraordinarily quick verdict. I mean, the jury is told that when they first retire to deliberate, begin deliberating in the case, they should select a foreperson. Can I tell you, sometimes that can take hours. And then they are to survey the evidence. And then they're not to sort of rush to a verdict, because the judges will instruct the jurors, if you announce a position, as soon as you enter the deliberation room, you might hesitate to back down from that position if, when you listen to your other jurors and their assessment of the evidence, maybe you'd be inclined to change your mind. But, if you announce a verdict very early on, that is maybe not the best way to proceed. So the judges send the signal to the juries, take your time, don't rush. This jury had nothing to discuss. The Green Bay sweep is nonsense and Peter Navarro is guilty. Now I go through all that to highlight how all of Donald Trump's statements, his lies, his steamrolling, are not going to be admissible in court. They're not going to win the case for him. But the damage he is permitted to do with those lies, continuing to poison the well of public opinion, continuing to poison all future jury pools, continuing to endanger witnesses and judges and prosecutors and jurors, and anybody that he believes is involved in the efforts to hold him accountable for his crimes, are so damaging. So damaging. So, look, Trump has confessed enough. He's incriminated himself enough. So I am hopeful that Judge Chutkan grants Jack Smith's order to put some narrowly tailored restrictions on Donald Trump's speech and his posts. And I also hope that news organizations choose not to continue to platform him and his lies, because fact-checking articles after the fact are never going to catch up to and completely diffuse and rebut those lies. And every time he's permitted to speak, he is poisoning the jury pool a little bit more and making his odds of winning, if not an acquittal, a not guilty verdict, and maybe a hung jury when he begins going to trial, a little bit better. And why in the world would anybody want to facilitate that? So hopefully the judge will gag Donald Trump. Hopefully news outlets will stop platforming Donald Trump and his lies, and hopefully the jury pool will remain as untainted as is humanly possible, because that is how we, the people, will have a shot at Donald Trump being held accountable for his crimes. We, the people, will have a shot at justice, because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.